Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of my Agrarian Skies Let's Play. This episode, I said I was going to do last episode a build of an automated Essentia Distillery, but yeah, I started getting into it and there's just so much work to do and so much repetitive work that I decided it would be better to do it and then show it off afterwards, so that's what I'm going to do. So hopefully this episode won't be too long. But let's get started. Wow, lightning and thunder. Awesome. Let's go. Set up a teleporter down here. Okay, let's go see here. So I've got in this one chunk, basically, pretty much every type of Essentia that you can get in Agrarian Skies. And I've got them all hooked up with these filtered Essentia valves. I'm going to explain why that is in a second. The golems are down here. Obviously, they're distilling, taking the distilled Essentia and they're placing it as fast as I can. Some of them aren't active, and it's because I've restricted pretty greatly the amount of stuff that comes through here. Before I was feeding, all my mob drops, including like the bones, the arrows, the rotten flesh, and all that other terrible stuff. And really, there's just no use for it. Like how much more corpus does a mage need after he's filled up 3 full jars of it? So I just basically decided to forget that. The way this works is actually fairly novel, and it's because we're running the older version, the 1.64 version of Thaumcraft instead of the 1.71 version. See, in 1.71, I could click on these guys with a magic wand and these pipes would not connect. But unfortunately in 1.64, that's not the case. It's either all or nothing. You click a pipe connection with your magic wand. I don't think I have my magic wand on me. It'll disconnect all the pipes, including the pipe that's connected to the jar. So that doesn't really do us any good. These guys, on the other hand, if you'll notice, if you place the valve as so, it'll break the connection, or it won't allow connection to the direction that the valve is facing in. I exploited this in order to make all of these jars really, really close to each other. Let's go around the back so we get a better view of what's going on here. So the front jar in every single row is the jar that the golems are connected to. They have, I'll go click on one of them so you guys can see. Click on this Jugon here. So you can see he's connected to that furnace, and it looks like he's being kind of retarded too for some reason. I'll kick him and see if he starts moving again. Yeah, that's really weird. Derpy AI, like I said. So they're connected to the front rows of jars. Because the jars in the back row are separated, they're not adjacent, these golems don't know about these jars. So that's good, because they won't try to get back here and fill them up, which would be terrible pathfinding. The way this works is based primarily off the suction concept for the Essentia pipes. So when you put a label on a jar, like these ones, they have a suction value of 32, which is further reduced by 1 for every distance it is from the source of Essentia. The void jars in the front have half the normal suction value of a jar. So if this is 32, then this is 16, right? The golem comes in and he puts some Essentia in here. What happens is immediately it gets sucked back into the one behind it, because this suction on this jar is 16. This one is going to be 32, technically 31 or 30, because it's 2 squares away, but it's higher basically than this one. So it actually pulls the Essentia that the golem put in there out and then brings it back down to here. What will happen then is after this jar fills up, this jar will have the next highest suction, and it will do the same thing. It will pull the Essentia out of the front jar and put it in the jar back here. So this is basically how I move all my Essentia backwards from the golems and store it for later use. A lot of the Essentia I don't have that much of a use for, but some of it I do. Like the Fabrica right here, you see I've already used quite a bit of it. It's because that's used a lot in enchanting and fusion enchanting, so I'm always going through that. Ignis, you'll see here, I got an Essentia mirror that's feeding the Ignis that comes through to an infernal furnace. That makes sense. But a lot of the stuff that I have, like Limus, like I don't even know what the heck I'm going to use Limus for. It's just kind of like ridiculous. Other ones are fine. But that's just kind of like basically how the system works. Now there's a couple of other things that are interesting about how I've set this up. Let's see. The mirrors, right? So the magic mirrors, or the Essentia mirrors, have a range of about 8 blocks from the origin point. So I was able to, by the way I placed these guys everything here is basically inside almost one chunk, right? So there's a little bit of extra space over here. So it's pretty close. It's like about 20 squares by 16 squares, I think. I could have shrank it a little bit more if I wanted to, but I just wanted to have enough space here so I could get around. But essentially, these guys have a range of about 8 spaces all the way around. So if he was like absolutely in the middle of a chunk, then he would be able to hit everything around it. Since the way I've got these guys spaced, or these jars spaced, I've got 2. I've got one on this side and one on that side. And that means that these Essentia mirrors can hit every single jar that is inside this distillery, which is good because these mirrors are linked to my infusion altar. So it means as long as these jars are filled, I don't have to worry about mucking around with Essentia anymore, which is kind of good. Which brings me to the next point. Is like, how am I actually filling these jars? Well, let's go downstairs and I'll show you what I'm doing here. If I can get downstairs. Okay, cool. I'm sure you can hear the mobs getting killed and my well suffering next door. So this is the drops that are coming through from the mob farm all the way over here. See if I can see it. Let's go take a look. Right? Whoa, my flying skills have definitely improved. I got XP just laying around. No more room to tap it. No use for it right now. So this guy right here, all the drops come down from the vacuum hoppers into this chest. And as soon as something lands in there, we'll should see it in a second. It's actually kind of hysterical. He just kind of chucks it over his shoulder and through the mirror. And that comes out down below in the other room that we were just in. Let's grab some XP while we're here, because, yeah, XP is good. Well, don't want to go back down there. Silly me. Let's go this way. Where is it? Yeah, Essentia Distillery. Back here. Oh, no, wrong one. Sorry. Here we go. So as you can see, everything's coming through here. It's landing on that hungry chest, which then goes into this pipe system over here. And I've got levers on top of covers. So these are all covers, not solid blocks. You can see from the top there. I've got most of this stuff turned off, with the exception of gunpowder, because that's my primary source of Ignis, and it's just kind of like feeding my infernal furnaces, which is good. Alimentum is here in this barrel. Now this is actually an interesting thing. This is a B-space barrel. So B-space barrels are cool because basically what it does is it lets you link as long as the barrel is the same, has the same amount of upgrades, you can take this thing called a B-space tuning fork, which is this guy right here, and you can right click on the original barrel and then right click on the second barrel, and it will link their inventories, so you'll be able to what you put in one you can take out of the other, and vice versa. Very useful. You can actually have multiple of these. I've got a third one of these that I've got in another building that I'm going to use for another purpose. So that's a B-space barrel, and the only real limitation on that is that the barrel themselves have to be how do you say it? It has to be the same structure, upgrades, everything as the barrel that you're copying. So if it's a gold barrel with, one void upgrade and one storage upgrade, then it has to be the barrel that you want to link it to has to be identical, right? So that's pretty much common sense, I suppose. The next thing is these guys here are. This guy here is actually, this is the filter at the bottom. Essences and beans come into this chest, and I got it turned on right now, so they're getting fed into my distillery. But I can turn this off, and then that'll start capturing the drops from the wisps and the pecks. This one right here is for everything else that is not a head or a knowledge fragment. Ooh, knowledge fragments. I got some. These things right here. So let's eat these. Yeah, yay, aspects. So that's like, your picks, your carrots, potatoes, all that kind of crap just kind of ends up in this chest, and I've got that going through to the distillery right now. Generally speaking, I get more mana beans than that, so that's odd. But this will fill up, slowly over time. I actually get quite a lot of the primal essences from the wisps, so not so many of the compound ones, but I do get some, which is fine. Primarily, I think none of this stuff really is useful, unfortunately, and I've looked at potentially distilling it a little bit and turning it into useful stuff, and even then a lot of it still isn't useful, which is kind of disappointing. But maybe somebody knows some better uses for it. This is kind of useful ender pearls because you can get, what is it, ITER, I believe it's called for it, and ITER is used in quite a few infusions, which is nice. Primarily what I'm looking for is like things like Spiritus, Motus, and Humanus. You do get Humanus from this, which is fine, but Spiritus you don't get from these things, and Modus definitely you don't get from any of these things either. I found so far the best source of Modus is probably bees, actually, bee breeding. So set up a couple of automated bee farms and have the bees feed in. That's probably the best way to do that. And honey drops, I think, give you Ordo, which is useful too if you want to do a lot of like alchemy with metals and stuff like that. I might do that in a later update. So yeah, primarily that is my Essentia Distillery. And like my plans for this are to hook up a mana bean farm. So I've got this magical biome over here, right? It's kind of small though, but I could probably make a tiny mana bean farm here with golems and have those guys feed into. Let's see how big this square is. Oh yeah, it's like one chunk, basically. Yeah, that makes sense, because there's a silverwood tree like right here. But yeah, I could probably make a mana bean farm and then have the mana beams getting thrown through a mirror down there, and that will give me some more essentia of different varieties, which is what I really need. Yeah, no, but I'm relatively happy with it. There's a few things that I don't like in general about the Essentia, system in Thaumcraft. Like there's quite a few. It is very inconvenient, which is, I guess, part of the charm of the system. Sometimes is the fact that you have to do some kind of goofy things in order to make it work effectively. But unfortunately, the pipes and stuff in this version, the one that we're running in Agrarian Skies, are just really useless. So I've heard that they made some improvements in the 1.710 version of the game, which would be, this guy is just a complete derphead. You derpy. Anyway, they've made some improvements in 1.710, which I'm interested in checking out sooner or later. It'd be pretty good. The only other thing I've been starting to work on is some of this furnace automation, alchemical construct automation. Also very difficult to do. I find that when you end up collecting, it's very difficult to collect Essentia in a centralized repository and then push it out to different areas, because these guys just don't work with magic mirrors. They have to have, I thought maybe they would, I thought they might be able to pull in Essentia through a magic mirror, which would make it really just so much nice, but they can't. They can only work with tubes, so you have to directly connect up Essentia jars to them, which means that if you want to automate the production of something, you have to do it like what I did over here, which is you have to make a single purpose distillery, basically, or a single purpose automation. So I've got a farm that's specifically feeding stuff that creates the chemical outputs that I want. I'd have to do the same exact thing with this. The only thing that I could possibly get away with is if I want to make Nitor glowstone, and I could either put a sifting operation here just for glowstone, or I could just export glowstone to this machine if I wanted some Nitor, right? So I could put up like an ME interface or something, I think, probably to the back of it, but I'd have to still feed it with Potentia, so coal, I think Ignis as well, and Lux, and so Lux is probably torches, the easiest one right there, 1 lux per torch. So I'd have to set up some kind of complicated system like that in order to make it work, but I guess that's the price you want to pay if you want to automate Thaumcraft. It's just not very friendly for automation. Let's see. That's pretty much it. And the reason why I didn't actually show the build on this is because there's not really much to it, right? Obviously, all I did is once I figured out the suction dynamics and how to get the pipes to work, it was just a lot of labeling jars and putting down pipes, as you can see. So it's nothing that's really all that impressive. The one thing that I think was frustrating was just, the fact that I have to use these stupid things. Not very happy with it. Like, you should be, I understand that you, in the 1.710 release, that you don't have to worry about this. That mechanic, you can actually just not connect the pipes to each other. But unfortunately, in the version we're running in Agrarian Skies, you have to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That took me probably the better part of an afternoon to set up, and that's how repetitive it was. I think the next and also trying to figure out the mirror placement too as well. I had to do a little bit of testing on that to make sure that it was all working correctly. The next thing I need to do is I need to get some power going. So what I've done is this guy over here. We have another tower. I love my towers. I just love building towers, as you can see. Let's get up here and see. I got my awesome looking, what is that? That's the infusion altar over there. Awesome looking infusion altar, awesome looking blood altar. This is a less awesome looking tower right now. I haven't really done much with it. But I'm going to put power inside there. So I've kind of marked this out right here. And I think we might, next episode, I might actually do this build so that I can show this to people. It's probably worthwhile because there's going to be a couple of interesting things about how I've set this up. And it is going to be running off of my excess alumentum. So this is another B-space barrel. So keen observers will notice I've got 3 B-space barrels. 2 of them are copies basically linked to the same one over there. And yeah, I'm going to put together some power, a power generation system over here. That's going to feed into this resonant ender cell, and then that's going to go out to some tesseracts that are going to power my various machines and things like that. So that's the plan anyway. Hopefully it will come to fruition, and there'll be some interesting, well, maybe not all that interesting, but I'm going to use RedNet wiring to make sure that the power generation is only on when I actually need to generate power, and not just running all the time, because I don't want to I don't know, maybe burn through all my elementum if it's not necessary. But I'll do that in the next episode. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to go over in this one. Probably not, so it'll be pretty short, guys. Anyway, I hope you found that pretty interesting. There's a lot of, there's not a lot of possibilities, unfortunately, with the Essentia distilleries. It's just like, it's very much the easiest way to make this work is to feed it mana beads, feed it ethereal essences, and then really the primary purpose for that is going to be for your infusion altar. If you need to do something with, let's say, you want like a selection of Essentia for enchanting, or not enchanting, using at your crucible, right? You're going to be better off building some kind of single purpose thing that collects just that Essentia, and then wiring it up to a crucible that makes a thing that you want to do a lot. Like I'm thinking I probably might make one for golem cores, right? That's useful because I make a lot of golems, so it saved me a little bit of time. But setting up the initial automation might be kind of a pain in the butt. That would be the primary usage for it that I can see. What else? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I wouldn't recommend that people spend as much time as I did putting that together. I mean, obviously, I think you need to have some decanting going on, but I'm not positive that I needed 3 rows of jars and all that entire suction system and everything like that. I mean, somewhat useful, because it means that I don't have to, I can just like dump like 3 or 4 stacks of something into the furnaces down there, and then I'll have, a good supply of it for a long time without having to refill it up. But other than that, if I just kind of set up some kind of feeding system from a mana bean farm, might not have to worry about that at all. Anyway, I'm gonna call that the episode. Excuse me, and we will get back to probably doing a build in the next one of the tower of redstone flux power that we're gonna put over there. All right, cheers.